I'm an perfectionist, and I finally want to deal with it. Because I'm so sick of being my own harshest criticizer. Having that fear of starting and setting too high expectations on myself and comparing my art with other artists. Welcome! If you don't know me yet, I'm Amelie, and for the last 7 days I have drawn myself again and again every day. And this made me think a lot about self-love, where I see myself in the future, and how I can change in getting better at having compassion with myself. Originally, I started this portrait challenge to get better at drawing from real life, but as I finished it, I realized that this made me discover something so much deeper. The first self-portrait I did wasn't anything special, or so I thought. I had a mirror, a blank paper, and I started drawing. My first thought was, of course, this better has to turn out pretty, or otherwise I will not show anyone. And there it was, my inner voice, my best friend. The trigger: fear of judgment and rejection, worrying that others will see my work as inadequate or unworthy. But anyways, I kept going, and the more I focused on capturing myself, the more I started to feel like I was just meeting me. There's something beautiful about just sitting with yourself and realizing you're allowed to just be who you are. No filters, no makeup, no editing. And that was the start of it. To stay committed and don't get overwhelmed, I've set myself a time limit of 10 minutes. It gave me a little bit of pressure to think fast, but it was also not too short. And this is what day 1 looked like. Perfectionists tend to clinch to what they know works. And sometimes your art making process gets so rigid that it stops you from growing and discovering creatively. You will stick to your usual methods because the fear of potential failure from experimenting is too big. Eventually, experiencing hardships can become your best opportunity to grow. And if you're wondering now, how can a self-portrait help me with becoming better at art? Let me tell you something. I think one of the most healing parts of self-portraits for me has been using it as a way to reconnect with myself. I'm always really busy and too focused on things that don't really matter, and my art becomes my way back. Each self-portrait felt like a little therapy session, giving me space to work through emotions without needing to say anything. Sometimes I look at these portraits and see pieces of myself that I had forgotten. I remember one time being in a pretty rough place emotionally, and I was really not in the mood to draw. I didn't like the outcome, but in a weird way, it actually helped me to see myself with more compassion. When I looked at that portrait, I didn't see someone who was messing up or not good enough. I saw someone who was going through a hard time and was still creating, still showing up. And that felt powerful, vulnerable but powerful. And here we are on day 3. On this day I felt really confident, and I think you can also tell by the way I placed my brush strokes. When I sit down and do a self-portrait, I'm completely present. I'm focused on little details, the way light falls on my face, the expressions that come and go. And for that time, I'm not worrying about anything else, just me and that piece of paper. These moments taught me to be comfortable with just being me. No distractions and no judgments, just being present with myself. Every self-portrait is a small act of courage. When you commit to making a self-portrait regularly, you will create pieces that aren't perfect. Over time, you begin to accept these imperfections as the part of the process. The goal is that it's okay if it doesn't turn out perfect. How does it help? Repetition shifts your focus from the outcome to the actual act of creating, teaching you that the journey is more important than the result. At first, it's hard to be okay with putting your true self on this piece of paper. But each time I do it, I get a little more confident. Not just in my art, but in myself. I start to feel like I'm enough, exactly as I am. And that's been the biggest gift of all. Thank you so much. Start today and have compassion with yourself.